Hi, everybody. So it's me again, back with another word. And funny enough, it's a Red Sea word. So probably must appear to like the Red Sea, but you know what? This is the year 2023. I'm believing it's the year of Psalms 23. The year of the Lord is my shepherd. So when you're walking through a year of the Lord is my shepherd, one of the characteristics of that is every moment and every situation that you walk through is basically a guided moment. That means that this year, do not be surprised if you come across so many situations that feel impossible, or you feel like you don't have a solution for them, or you feel stuck, because that is God calling you to ask Him for a solution. This is the year of the Lord is my shepherd. That means that in this year, for you to advance, for you to take territories, for you to walk into the new things, for you to fulfill the desires of your heart, for you to see those big things that you've always wanted to do in your life but you've never been able to do, you really need to cross a lot of Red Seas this year. You need to arrive to so many situations where it feels impossible and you don't know what to do, and you cry out to God and He opens a path where nothing was there. He opens a path where a sea was. He opens a path that is not seen. See, the thing is, when we walk in our own wisdom and we make decisions in our own wisdom, we tend to walk towards things we can see. We take, routes that we can see. We walk on roads that we can see. But when we are in a year that is basically in the hands of God, what we're basically doing is taking every step back to Him, and He's opening up the way, because He said in this season, I believe from the beginning of the pandemic up to now, from 2020 up to 2023, He said, Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall you not know it? I will make a way through the wilderness and rivers in the dry wasteland. And this year, 2023, is the year where a lot of these paths that we've been walking towards are being revealed. But for you to see what God prepared for you in the last 3 years, you have to follow Him. You have to ask Him. You have to take every situation back to Him. This year is not the type of year that you get a word at the beginning of the year and you run with it. This year is a step by step by step kind of year. I've done this, God, I feel stuck again. What's next? I've moved, God. What's next? This year is like a chessboard. Call it a chessboard year. You move, God moves. You move, God moves. Gives you an instruction, you ask Him for the next one. Okay? And when the enemy says checkmate, that is the Red Sea moment we're talking about. And you might feel stuck, but God knows how. So today we're talking about the Red Sea moment, we're talking about checkmate, where God knows how to get out of that situation. So, anyway, the word that I'm going to be reading is Exodus 14. And basically gonna just read from verse 1 and just see where we go. So, reading from the Good News Bible, it says, Crossing the Red Sea. Then the Lord said to Moses, Tell the Israelites to turn back and camp in front of Pi Hahiroth, between Migdol and the Red Sea, near Baal Zephon. The king will think that the Israelites are wandering about in the country and are closed in by the desert. I will make him stubborn, and he will pursue you. And my victory over the king and his army will bring me honor. Then the Egyptians will know that I'm Lord. So the Israelites did as they were told. So when you look at Moses, for one, he was the type of man who was living the Lord is my shepherd. If you see sheep and a shepherd, sheep just keep an eye on the shepherd. They do what the shepherd tells them to do. The shepherd is in the field and not moving. They just stay in the field. When the shepherd moves, they move. When the shepherd sits, they sit. Sheep always keep an eye for their shepherd to see what the shepherd is doing. So here you have Moses, and throughout this journey, he knew that he always had to consult God on what to do next. So God told him, and he says, tell the Israelites to camp at a particular place. So don't feel stuck. The Lord has instructed you to camp there. You're not stuck. The Lord has instructed you to camp there. You're not stuck in that problem. You're not stuck in that issue. You're not stuck in that job. You're not stuck in anything. The Lord has instructed you to camp there. And in that instruction, what the Lord has done is that He wants your enemy, your pursuant, whoever is your Pharaoh, He wants them to think that you are wandering because you are stuck. He wants you to think that you are in wilderness. He wants you to think that you don't know how to get out of this situation. And then it says, God says, I will make him stubborn. God is literally controlling the hearts of your enemies right now. God is in control of their hearts. He's in charge. He's in charge of the whole situation. I will make him stubborn, he says, and he will pursue you. He will pursue you. So if you feel like you're a target right now, you feel like you got a target on your back, you feel like the enemy is targeting you, the Lord is controlling the heart of your enemy. He is making your enemy stubborn and is making your enemy pursue you. Why? Because his victory over your enemy and his army will bring him honor. Then even your enemy will know that the Lord is God. This is a preaching moment, even for your enemies. So, if we go on from verse 5, it says, when the king of Egypt was told that the people had escaped, and his officials had changed their mind and said, what have we done? We have let the Israelites escape, and we have lost them as our slaves. See, the enemy is actually going to feel like they've lost you as their slave. They feel like they've lost you as their slave. They've no control over you. This is what the Lord is making them think. The thing God, then in verse 6 it says, the king got his war chariot and his army ready. He set out with all his chariots, including 600 finest, commanded by their officers. And then, listen to verse 8. The Lord made the king stubborn, and he pursued the Israelites who were leaving triumphantly. So, you may be in a situation where God created an escape route for you, and you left with joy. You were like, finally, God has set me free. And you left triumphantly. But then now, you feel like the same enemy who you left is pursuing you. I want you to hear verse 8. The Lord made the king stubborn, and he pursued the Israelites who were leaving triumphantly. So you are leaving triumphantly, but the Lord has made the king stubborn to allow him to pursue you. The Egyptian, so I'll continue reading from verse 9. The Egyptian army with all the horses, chariots, and drivers pursued them, caught up with them where they were camped by the Red Sea, near Pi Hahiroth and Baal Zephon. When the Israelites saw the king and his army marching against them, they were terrified and cried out to the Lord for help. They said to Moses, weren't there any graves in Egypt? Did you have to bring us out here in the desert to die? Look what you have done, bringing us out of Egypt. Didn't we tell you before we left this would happen? We told you to leave us alone. Let us go on being slaves of the Egyptians. It would be better to be slaves than to die here in the desert. So this part of the scripture just shows might be a reflection of how you feel right now. you might start wavering and thinking, wasn't it better for me to stay? Wasn't it better for me to be a slave? Wasn't it better for me to be in that situation than to be where I am right now? Wasn't it better? Was it that bad? Now you're reflecting, you're looking back at the past. I might have left triumphantly looking excited, but was it that bad? Or I don't know, that's what happens when you feel stuck and you feel like you can't go anywhere and there's no solution. So I just want you to learn from the Israelites here that that feeling is a normal human feeling that comes from fear. That's why the Lord always reminds us not to fear, but to trust Him. So Moses answered, do not be afraid. Stand your ground, and you will see what the Lord will do to save you today. You will never see the Egyptians again, right? The Lord will fight for you, and there is no need for you to do anything. So this is what Moses says. I want you to see the mentality of Moses versus the mentality of the Israelites. Mentality of the Israelites is to panic and to go in fear when they feel stuck. The mentality of Moses is to stop, to not be afraid, and to see the Lord fight for him. Moses he's always postured to not be fearful, to stand his ground, to believe that God will fight for him, and to believe that he doesn't need to do anything. So that is just a mentality. So what Moses is showing us here is his mindset. Because that is not what the actual solution was. That is Moses showing his mindset. So when you are feeling stuck in a situation, don't panic, don't be in fear. Always take the mindset of Moses, because in the mindset of Moses, that's where revelation comes. I've heard a lot of people preaching this verse and saying, oh, Moses said the exact opposite of what the solution actually was. No, Moses had a mindset. His mindset was always, don't fear, stand your ground, and see what the Lord will do to save you. The Lord will fight for you, and you don't need to do anything. That's a mindset. Whenever you have that mindset, your mind is always open to receive solutions from God. So wherever you are feeling stuck right now, I want you to just adopt your mindset to take away the fear, stand your ground, and see the Lord fight for you, and don't do anything. Once you find yourself in that peaceful place, God will give you a solution. Because look at what happens after that in verse 15. The Lord said to Moses, why are you crying out for help? Tell the people to move forward. Lift up your stick and hold it out over the sea. The water will divide and the Israelites will walk through the sea on dry ground. I will make the Egyptians so stubborn that they will go in after them, and I will gain honor by my victory over the king, his army, his chariots, and his drivers. When I defeat them, the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord. The angel of God, who has been in front of the army, moved and went out to the rear. The pillar of cloud also moved until it was between the Egyptians and the Israelites. Now listen what happens next. The cloud made it dark for the Egyptians, but gave light to the people of Israel. So the armies could not come near each other all night. Moses held out his hand over the sea, and the Lord drew the sea back using a strong east wind. It blew all night, and the sea turned to dry land. I want you to see here that it blew all night. It took all night for the sea to open up. Wait for God's solution. Once you've prayed and God has given you revelation and strategy, wait for God's strategy to enact so that the solution comes to pass. And then it says that the water divided and the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground with walls of water on both sides. The Egyptians pursued them and went after them into the sea with all their horses, chariots, and drivers. Just before dawn, the Lord looked down from the pillar of fire and cloud at the Egyptian army and threw them into a panic. He made the wheels of their chariots get stuck so that they moved with great difficulty. The Egyptians said, the Lord is fighting for the Israelites against us. Let's get out of here. The Lord said to Moses, hold out your hand over the sea, and the water will come back over the Egyptians and their chariots and drivers. So Moses held out his hand over the sea, and at daybreak the water returned to its normal level. The Egyptians tried to escape from the water, but the Lord threw them into the sea. The water returned and covered the chariots and drivers and all the Egyptians' army that had followed the Israelites into the sea. Not one of them was left. But the Israelites walked through the sea on dry ground, and the walls of water on both sides. On that day, the Lord saved the people of Israel from the Egyptians, and the Israelites saw them lying dead on the seashore. When the Israelites saw the great power in which the Lord had defeated the Egyptians, they stood in awe of the Lord, and they had faith in the Lord and his servant Moses. So I think the main lesson here is that when the Egyptians left, when the Israelites left Egypt, they left the Egyptians. So when you left your oppressive situation, whatever it was that was oppressing you, or when God set you free from whatever it was that he set you free from, what happened was you walked away from it triumphantly, feeling like you had a victory. But now the very thing you walked away from is now pursuing you and seeking after your life. And now you feel stuck, and you feel like, you know what? Was it better for me to have stayed than to be chased by this thing? But what you don't realize is that God is making that thing chase you so that he can kill it once and for all. Because before, you just left it, but you did not kill it. But now God is allowing it to pursue you so that he can kill it. So that is the reason why your enemies pursue you. Because what God wants to do is he wants to kill the stronghold they have in you once and for all. The Egyptians you see today, you will not see anymore. So do not fear when the very thing you walked away from appears to look like it's starting to chase you. Because what God is strategically doing in that moment is he is actually creating an opportunity for himself to kill that thing in your life once and for all. You know, there's a difference between walking away from something that still exists and actually having that thing dead and gone. So let God kill the things that he wants to kill in your life the way he sees fit. If the strategy looks like you are stuck, just have your faith in God and trust that his solutions are foolproof. He knows why that is the best strategy. God would rather kill the thing so that it never bothers you again than for you to always have to deal with that thing. So today I just want you to take the mindset of Moses. Don't be afraid. Stand your ground, and you will see that the Lord will save you today. You will never see this thing again. God will fight for you, and you don't need to do anything. Once you get yourself in that mindset, God is going to give you a strategy of how to fight this thing. And when he fights this thing, he's going to kill it. You will never, ever have to deal with this thing again. So I hope that helps you and just gives you faith as you walk through your Red Sea moment. Thank you, and until next time, may the Lord bless you, keep you, make his face to shine upon you, be gracious to you. Lord, turn his face towards you and give you peace.